Hey, what's up guys? My name is Jurijs and welcome to today's video. As you can see here, today's video is all about the Terra Base, and by now 2020 I have to say this is the Terra Base M, which is the medium size, because meanwhile there is also a smaller version and a slightly larger version. So what is happening today, guys? We have this Terra Base here, which is a product by DOOA, which is a brand from ADA, same brand who produces this beautiful DOOA Neo Glass Air aquariums that look like they're floating in the air. And the Terra Base is a ceramic cylinder and it mimics a tree, you know, the bark of the tree. And how this thing works, you attach all kind of epiphytes on it from the outside, you fill it with water, and then the water goes through the ceramic to the outside very slowly and provides constant moisture to the plants on the outside, so you can create a piece of rainforest inside this little vertical aquarium. So today we're going to throw some plants on the Terra Base and make it look super cool. And to wrap up that intro before I get started, YouTuber rule number one, give credit when you can. And I have to give credit for some inspiration I got for this video. Goes to my friend James at Botany Geek from UK on Instagram, as well as Shallow Worlds, another super beautiful Instagram profile. And of course to guys from ADA, including Yusuke Hama. ADA, they invented this Terra Base. They have created some beautiful examples. A quick disclaimer over here, I got the Neo Glass Air as well as the Terra Base provided by ADA, by their German distributor, European Aquaristics, so thanks to them for providing these. I'm going to use a lot of Tropica plants, so thanks Tropica for the plants I'm using. Actually, none of these plants were provided for this project specifically. I just happened to have them in my basement from previous projects, so I'm finally getting to use them on this one. And also to Ben's jungle, so I'm going to use again some super cool rare epiphyte plants from Ben. Now let's look what we have here, technically what we need for that build, and then get started. First of all, we have the Neo Glass Air, which is, I believe, 20 by 20 by 35 centimeter. We have, of course, the lid on top over here. Super nice finish, just to keep the moisture inside. And then, of course, we have over here the Terra Base itself. That comes with a little manual. So let's put the container aside so it's not in the way. This is the Terra Base. We have a little of a DOOA logo at the bottom here. It's kind of cool, solid, I like that. So it's branded from the outside. It's not perfect shape, so it looks a little bit rough, but I actually don't care what it looks like because it's going to be fully covered with moss. So let's put this aside as well and talk about other ingredients, tools we are gonna need for that. Someone mentioned in the previous video I'm not as well prepared as Tanner from Serpa Design, and I replied that my videos are recorded live. I don't just do it, record it, and then make the voiceover that makes everything look seamless. I do it sort of live, and if I'm missing something, I will go and grab it and get it, and this is becoming part of the video. And I think it's very interesting to share the thought process with you guys, so you know why I do certain things and how I'm thinking, and you know how things come together. So today I got prepared a little bit better. Let's see. So what I will use today in terms of tools, we have here a pair of Tropica Tweezers, some short curved ADA scissors. I will need this to trim the moss. What else do we have? We have here the Terra line. This is a DOOA product as well, and looks like moss cotton, some people might tell. And if you remove the packaging, that actually exactly looks like moss cotton, green cotton thread, but that's not cotton. This is polyester something, it's plastic-ish, so that's not going to dissolve over time, so that's going to hold your plants permanently. So if you do some kind of those setups where you need to hold the plants permanently at a certain surface, whether it is the Terra Base or whether it is a waterfall, you know, this Wabikusa wall, Mitsukusa walls, use Terra line because moss cotton is going to dissolve after a few months and then things can fall off. So we got these tools over here. Let's put this aside. What else do I have? Again, Arca microblift here, guild type super glue from Arca. I'm not going to glue plants, but you will see what I need this for. Then I have a liquid super glue here and a little piece of a cotton pad. If you haven't seen my how to glue rocks with super glue tutorial, check it out up here. So I told you, I got inspired by some other folks doing those Terra Base builds, and something I have seen a lot of people, they struggle to, how to attach the moss on top. And also I kind of struggled myself to find out how many moss cup species I need. Of course, you can order more than you need and then you have a leftover, but you know, sharing here the thought process with you. So if we put the Terra Base here and we take a piece of paper and then we just rotate and wrap the piece of paper around the Terra Base, what we see is it is almost a perfect fit. So the surface area of the sheet of paper is almost the surface area of the Terra Base on the outside. So if I put this down, I know this is how much moss approximately I need. And the good thing about moss is because it's stringy, you can always push it a little bit, aside and spread it a little bit more. So what I did, I kind of calculated this way, found out the surface area of the Terra Base, and then this is a tray 4x3, that's 12 units. And if I put it on top of the sheet of paper, this is exactly how many cups of moss I need. If, you know, I go for that many, that might be a little bit, you know, the opposite of a low budget to do it this way. You can definitely use moss from portions. The Taiwan moss, unfortunately, is not available as a portion, but you can use Christmas moss, willow moss, all kind of those things. They work great as well. I just wanted to try it with Taiwan moss since I haven't seen anyone doing it before. So once again, thanks Tropica for providing all of these. So before I get started, I will have to wrap the moss around. To do so, I'm going to use the Terra line. What I want to do to make it a little bit easier for myself, I'm going to glue the Terra line in place with a tiny little dot of super glue, and that's all I need this glue for at the moment. If I will need it in the future, I don't know yet. Maybe, maybe not. And here we have it. And this is hopefully going to cure quite quickly. I don't know if we can speed up things by spraying water on top. I will let this dry. And now, meanwhile, let's get the moss in place. And as you can see here, I have the moss in the paper where I calculated previously the amount that I need. So if I unwrap the paper and rotate the whole thing somehow, you should see the moss portions the way I prepared them. I don't know if you can see this here in that image. But yeah, that's basically almost the surface area of the Terra Base. Before my other plants dry out, I better put the lid on top. And you can see here, it starts to hold the thread. That's enough. I'm not going to pull like crazy on it. So what I'm doing now, basically, I'm going to use 3 portions of moss next to each other. Let's start somewhere here. And I'm going to spread it evenly to cover that portion of the Terra Base. And let me get the cotton thread to the other side, so just keeping it here for a while. Let's keep the tools on left and right to secure the Terra Base from rolling around the place. That is covered. Let's take the next portion. Put it somewhere below. I'm pretty sure if you spread the moss more, you are able to cover the entire Terra Base just with 6 tissue culture cups. But that's how many I have here and I'm using here. So that is covered. Let's move down here. And And I have seen so many videos where people really struggled with attaching the moss to the Terra Base because moss is falling off, they're using small pieces and they do countless wraps with a line around it. I spent a little bit of time thinking how to do it the best way, and now let's see if I was smart enough to come up with a cool idea. So we approximately now already, what is that, 1/4, like 25% covered. And what I do now is I just want to briefly secure the moss. This is not going to be the final, how to say, yeah, the final wrap. I just do the first initial wrap just to keep the moss in place when I start rotating it so that it doesn't fall off. I keep gaps of approximately, yeah, like 2 to 3 centimeters in between the wraps. So, if we look at it this way, I can turn it over and nothing is falling down except the Terra line. So now I'm rotating it 90 degrees, securing it from that side. Yeah, why not? Let's make one full wrap. So now that we have the first line of moss in place, let's go for the next line. And we're doing the exact same thing. Just putting the moss on top and spreading it out a little bit. I want the Terra Base to be fully covered all the way to the top. Of course, the more moss you have, the more confident you are with, you know, how much you can put where. But I think just with the paper and the cups gives you an estimate that you can calculate this way the amount of moss. I always do the same thing in my aquariums when I have to calculate how many pots of carpeting plants I need. I know I can cover basically approximately like 10 by 10 centimeters ground floor with 1 cup of, let's say, Hemianthus cuba or Eleocharis mini. And then I'm looking at the scape and I go with my hands like 1, 2, 3, 4, and I just count the amount of carpeting plants this way to do the estimates. Actually, I remember when I was in Lisbon, for those of you who didn't know, I was part of the Takashi Amano crew who has built the Floresta Submersus, this giant aquarium in the Oceanário de Lisboa. What they did, they printed out like exact size of what is that called, the Babicusa pads of different plants, and then on the ground they had, you know, like some samples of the tank, and they have put those circular pads on the ground to calculate how many Babicusas they will need to plant the entire aquarium. So yeah, it's a good way to estimate if you create like a map with the realistic size for yourself to do this job. And this is just another way to do it. So here we have now the second quarter of moss in place, and I'm going to lift it up and to go back. And this time I try to go with a cotton thread or the Terra line thread in between the previous ones. So the first layer is now sort of secured a little bit better, and I don't have too much overlapping with the Terra line here. And like I said, this initial first layers are just to keep the plants in place. After that, we can do some extra wraps to keep the plants more stable, or I don't know, to attach them just more tightly. Okay. That's enough for now. So we have 1/2, you can see here, 50% is already covered with moss. And I think this is quite a good strategy. I've seen people attaching one, going around, attaching next one. I think that's pretty quick, and as you can see, pretty much, I don't know, stress-free, I would say, technique to do it. A little fun story here. When I was part of that Lisbon project, one day we spent entirely wrapping those large pieces of driftwood with moss. And yeah, we received the instructions in the morning from Amano, and then he went to sightseeing or something and came back in the evening to check the work. And those of you who know the project, the whole day was wasted because within the first months of maintenance of that aquarium, all the moss has been removed during the algae phase while they've been fighting with it. So we kind of wasted one day wrapping all the driftwood with moss, but it was a good practice. So that is secured and no one is going to pull that string anyway. So here we have the Terra Base now fully covered with moss. Before I move any further, this moss kind of stands up and looks a little bit stringy, not so nice. I'm going to trim it back to make it all compact. This is also what you do with the, with your branches. Once you have covered them with moss, you go there and everything what is too long, you just trim back. And it creates a beautiful mess here in my kitchen studio. When you do this, you want to make sure there is no line loose somewhere in between, and so that you don't cut it accidentally. I see here a little bit of a loose line. That might be from the very first wrap. But since we have done several other wraps, I'm not too worried to cut it here and to use the other end and put it just somewhere underneath. So, giving the first haircut to the Terra Base. Also, by cutting the moss back, I'm activating all those moss strings, you can say, to start growing where I have cut it, because otherwise the moss has the tendency to grow at the end of the string, at the end of the stem, or I don't know how to call it. So by cutting it back, I'm activating it to grow from more close to the Terra Base. Whew. I can already see myself going nuts when I have to trim the Terra Base with the epiphytes attached to it. That is going to be a much more difficult task. Maybe I can use it with a curved side and trim around the corner this way. Yeah, works great. Now it's covered with moss. That is step one. Step number two, so I have some more moss left over here. Maybe we need it, maybe not. Let's see. Let's get to the wood features. So as for the wood features, I've been thinking that one looks like a root to have it like somewhere at the bottom, close to the Terra Base, somehow attached like this. It just looks like, yeah, it is a tree. And what do you think, guys? Let me know. Should I use super glue and a cotton pad to fix it, or should I just wrap more Terra line around it just at the bottom somewhere and up here? So anyway, one piece is going here, and another second piece I would like to add somewhere up here. That also goes to the top. If I use it like this, it's, it's crossing. So this way, I think it's natural. Standing up a little bit at the top. Let me check if it sticks out. No. I'm going to use Terra line. I'm not going to use super glue. Sorry, cotton pad. I want to use Terra line here. Yeah. So first of all, let me secure the Terra line. To do so, yeah, I'm going simply to fix it here. And what is interesting, guys, I'm looking at my hands and I see some grayish colors. I think it's just some dust from the Terra Base. So let's wrap it around at the top like 2 times. This is fixed. Now let's go to the bottom 1 time underneath, so we don't see the Terra line where we don't need to see it, and then close to the bottom I'm going to attach it to the Terra Base again. So those 2 spots should be enough to hold it in place. Okay. Good. First wood feature is in place. Now let's add another one. This is good. Okay. Again, let's fix the Terra line to the wood. Nice distance. Okay, this looks fixed. Now let's do a couple slings on this one. Going to return to the base here and fix it at the bottom. I think that's easier, just to attach it to that same spot over here. So they are now fixed. Let me look. Yeah, I like it. It's cool. So now we have the option to use maybe additional pieces to extend this one at the top, since it looks a little bit, you know, we have this cut here. So this is probably where I can use the super glue to make the life for myself a little bit easier. So let me rotate it to the front so you can see the process. We're using a little piece, just a tiny little piece of that cotton pad that goes basically here in between. I'm going to secure them like this, put it in a nice shape so it doesn't stand out too much. Nope, it's coming out great. So adding it just in between to that section here, and should be almost instantly fixed. I can hear how it dries out. And as you can see here, the cotton pad in between is almost invisible. And I think this way it looks like a cool wooden feature. I could of course add more, but guys, I want to keep it simple. The reason why I really like the Terra Bases that I showed you at the beginning as some sort of my source of inspiration is because they have been so clean and minimalistic. So actually the Terra Bases where people add everything everywhere, it's just too much. I don't like it. I think with the wood we're already quite fancy and we have done something I haven't seen before. So I don't want to say I'm the first one doing it, but I definitely haven't seen anyone else doing it before me. But feel free to copy and feel free to correct me if someone has done it before. Comment down below, post a link if you find any sources. I think first things first, I want to attach the orchids because for me personally, they are the highlight. So first starting with the Pleurothallis species, it's that one. And I think since it's so delicate, it should sit somewhere at the top, maybe right behind this branch. I don't know what to expect here at the bottom. Okay, we have a lot of sphagnum moss. So let's take it apart, that little bunch. What do we have down here? Yeah, this is the orchid. Cute. That tiny little thing is now going to be situated somewhere up here. And guys, I'm not sure like if I need to extra secure it with things or not, but I'm going to do it, and to do so I have here a little bit of moss that I'm going to add to the front just to kind of protect the roots, to give them a little cover. We have it up here, and now let's use a little bit more terraline. So just fixed it with 2 lines of terraline, which I'm wrapping around this top branch here. And once I've shortened it, I'm going to make a simple sling, and it should be enough to avoid it opening, just like this. And it's going to attach by itself with the roots anyway, so that one is in place. Next we have that other tiny little, what is it called? Lepanthes Ionoptera, which is growing on that little piece of cork bark. Okay, let's take it off and see what kind of root structure is awaiting us down here. Oh, there is a tiny root going into the back with reddish roots. That's actually quite cute. Okay, so that one I'm going to place at the other side, at the top. So my top spots are reserved for the orchids. To plant it, I'm simply going to squeeze it underneath the terraline down here and take some extra moss, put it on top here, again to cover up the roots a little bit. Let's take the terraline, wrap it around this branch. And I just need 2 wraps here like this, and that's going to be enough. I'm going to keep it a little bit longer so that I can go back underneath the wood. So that is somehow attached. I guess it's not going to fall over. Okay, the moss I'm going to shorten, but should be careful not to trim off the leaves of the orchid. Okay. Shorten the moss a little bit. Let me take some of those moss scraps from the previous cuttings and just press it here behind the wood to cover up some of the wraps that we did with the terraline. Terraline, yes. Okay. So next I have some of the Bucephalandras. So we have this spot over here, so I want to use the Bucephalandras along the driftwood. So on the top I'm going to use the smaller Bucephalandras from tissue culture, this one over here. So what I'm going to do is just squeeze the roots underneath the driftwood, just like this, push them a little bit to the top and sort of arrange them in a slightly elongated formation. This way it looks like they have been growing here by them own, and it looks quite natural right away. They can stay here, and we can use a slightly larger piece towards the bottom. I'm just adding it underneath the Terra line and just inserting it here like this. It is going to attach by itself. With the roots, I'm not too worried about it, but when they all start flowering inside, that would be amazing. So that is for that side. Let's rotate around, get to this side. So over here at the top, I want some small Bucephalandra, so using again tissue culture material. This way the Bucephalandra covers up the Terra line as well, using the natural possibilities to attach it here. That sort of makes it look natural right from the beginning. We have some more super small ones. Okay, this part will go right underneath. When adding Bucephalandras, guys, try to add them already growing in a vertical direction. This way it is easier for them to readjust to the source of light. I've used most things that I wanted. The only plant remaining is now that Selaginella, Selaginella, I don't know. And yeah, I think I can pull out a portion of it, or if I can just trim off a leaf, and then it is going to grow. Yeah, I see it grows roots on the side, so I guess I'm just good to take one of these leaves and then attach it to somewhere. So this is a feature I want to use like on the downside of the Bucephalandra, somewhere like here, to have a little of a contrast to it. And yeah, simply add the roots into the gap behind the driftwood from the back side. Just holds there by itself. I think that's totally fine to leave it like this. And now let's take another branch and use it on the other side. I think the one down here is quite good. I want to use the largest ones. I think somewhere here would look quite nice. So let's squeeze the roots underneath without pushing out the Buce. So, final check. It's quite cool. I could use even more at the very bottom down here, but I think that would become too much. I want to keep that clean and open look. So let's give the whole thing here a good spray. And now the only thing remaining to do is to put it inside the glass container and fill up a little bit of water. So, and before we seal the container, we have to add the biology to it. For this, I have some springtails here in that box. Carefully opening the lid. Sometimes they're sitting on the lid, maybe not this time. So if we put them inside here, I can spray inside and those little guys are jumping out. Yeah. The reason, guys, why I'm adding springtails to all these terrarium builds is quite simple. Inside an aquarium you have snails, you have shrimps, you know, to battle the algae, the fungi and all those nasty things. Inside here you don't have any shrimps, any snails, and it's quite difficult to, you know, get there and, you know, work around and keep it clean. And because in nature there is a cleanup crew, and those cleanup crews, they, you know, they eat that plant material, they eat fungi and, you know, mold and all those nasty things. So by adding springtails in here, they are almost invisible. They breed, they eat all the dead material, and they provide nutrients back to the plants. So like I previously said, I don't have an additional ONF Flat Nano Plus for that project. I have to order one. So using that one from the waterfall project, and if we put it on top, we get some light that you can see how it shines when the light comes from the top, and underneath that nice RGB color. So this is it, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed watching this tutorial. It was super fun to me. I have learned a ton doing this nano series. If you want to watch them all, I will link the playlist up above so you can see them from the very beginning since I introduced the nano gallery. You can see all the different builds I created here in my kitchen studio. This is another super beautiful addition. This is the final step. This is the final one from the initial 7, I guess. So yeah, if you want to see more builds like this, don't forget to subscribe to my channel to get then notified every time I upload a new video. And if you feel like you want to support me, what I do here, feel free to check out the membership. Once again, there are no hidden or exclusive perks, just pure volunteer basis, sort of like Patreon. Yeah. So this is it, guys. For now, I'm gonna see you in the future in the next video. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. Peace.